part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome to another Reghi and Roda podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. We start things off as we always do with our Kenny Loft and our Stephen Kwan, if you will, our leadoff man. That is our producer, Ty Cordts, making sure all of you get this out there in the podcatosphere. And Michael Reghi, here we are, week number 3 already of the National Football League season. And the Browns have lost 2 home games now. They lost 1 all of last year. They're 1-2 on the season after today's debacle at home against the woeful Daniel Jones-led New York Giants. They lose it 21-15, an absolute disgrace today, Michael, offensively.
Kenny, how many teams that ultimately get into January and actually win in the playoffs do we know in all of our years together with the NFL that lose home games and expect to get there?
Right.
You could probably count them on one hand. Yeah, and Kenny, it's aggravating. It's disturbing. At times, it's just downright disgusting. The way this football team's put themselves in position, not good position either.
Yeah.
This type of position that it's a scuffle now, right?
Yep.
3 damn games into the season, and now you're scuffling. And you're probably going to have to really do some things that I don't even know if they're capable of, Ken, to get themselves out of this.
Reg, 8 sacks today, and that's with Jed Wills back in the lineup, starting at left tackle. DeJuan Jones started at right tackle, right?
It's absurd, Kenny. Absurd.
So technically, they had their starting offensive line ready to go against the Giants, and they gave up 8 sacks. That's a career high for Deshaun Watson getting sacked. And then during the game, Reg, let's see, Jed Wills went out again with a knee. James Hudson went out with a shoulder. Wyatt Teller went out with the knee. All 3 are going to get MRIs. DeJuan Jones either was pulled because he stunk the joint up, or he was pulled because his knee was bothering him, and that wasn't allowing him to play well. But he's got a knee as well. So that's 4 offensive linemen with injuries, and that's not even mentioning Jack Conklin, who couldn't go because of, I guess, another different injury this past week during practice with a hamstring.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And this offensive line is not good. Okay?
Yep.
They're not good. DeJuan Jones got to be better, man. Got to be better. Jed Wills, I have 0 confidence in him.
Yep.
None. ZERO exclamation point 0. No confidence in his capabilities at all. I don't care if it's a right side, left side. I don't believe he's got what it takes to be a strong pass protecting offensive tackle in this league, Kenny. Until I see otherwise, I haven't seen any of that yet. And so it affects the whole offensive line. And the damn offensive line right now, you just laid it out, and now you got to talk about all the damn injuries or guys that are banged up. Kenny, it's only a couple of damn games in, man. How in the hell are they going to get through to the second week in January and then hope to keep playing after that? How?
Reg, I don't know. And there's nobody like on the practice squad or the backups that are worth a damn either, unless they make a trade with the team out there. And it's too early to do that because everybody still thinks they're in the playoff hunt right after 3 weeks. Yeah. So you're going to have to wait a while and try and survive with what you have. And Deshaun Watson, again, wasn't good today, Reg. Some of it wasn't his fault. Some of it was. There were plays to be made out there that he didn't make, but there were other times where he was just running for his life. Yep. And then he puts the ball in the breadbasket of Jerome Ford late in the game, and Ford just coughs it up when it looked like they had all the momentum and were coming right back. And, that cost them the football game.
It did. And then how about the ball, the throw right between the 1 and the 9
Yep.
on Cedric Tillman's jersey, and he doesn't make the catch. Come on, Kenny.
Yep.
Damn it. You're an NFL receiver, I think, or you're playing the part of one in a Cleveland Browns uniform. Make the damn catch when the quarterback puts the ball on you. I mean, it's just that simple. And I'm going to bring one other name up here, partner.
All right.
Calling Andrew Berry.
Okay.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Do something about your damn roster, because I don't think we need to be NFL roster creating executives to see there's a lot of flaws and warts in it, Ken. And who's that on?
Yeah, it's on the
Who
general
the hell
manager.
is that on?
Yeah.
That's on him. So do something. You're the GM. You're the man who composes the roster. Do something and get it better. Enough of this, listen, I like Andrew Berry, but I think in a lot of ways we've kind of gone with kid gloves on him on a few different occasions. No more from me.
Okay.
Get the damn job done. That's your job, Andrew Berry. You got to get this roster better. And if you can't do it, then he shouldn't have his job.
Yeah, and he just got an extension.
Yeah. Okay.
Reds, that's why I didn't understand why they gave him the extension. I would have waited until after this year, because this Deshaun Watson trade, right? Whether that was driven by Jimmy Haslam or not, he's still the general manager. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was driven by Jimmy and D. And so that's why they gave Andrew Berry the contract extension, because it wasn't on him that made that move. But all the other moves, as you've just pointed out, those are on him. Drafting Jed Wills instead of Tristan Wirfs way back 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, whenever that was already. And Tristan Wirfs got a Super Bowl ring and is an all-pro caliber player. And Jed Wills is a revolving door at left tackle for players to run around him or for him to run to the IR.
Yeah, that pretty much says it. And I'm going to tell you what, if you're a Browns fan, I don't know how you can't be disgusted at this point. I mean, because again, you cannot lose home games to inferior football teams.
Yep.
New York Giants. And expect to be in a playoff position come the holidays and on into January of next year. It ain't going to happen. And Kenny, I tell you, I want to stay positive. I want to stay optimistic. I got a real bad feeling about how this season's going to unfold. And I hope I'm 1,000,000% wrong, but I got a real bad feeling.
This was supposed to be the easy part, right? Giants, Raiders, Commanders. This is where you're going to be 4-1 after 5 games heading into that Eagles, Bengals, Chargers portion of your schedule. Well, now they're 1-2, and they've lost 2 home games, which is double what they lost last year at home. And there are more question marks than answers through 3 games with this team. Michael, they made Daniel Jones look like Dan Marino today.
How about that?
He had a quarterback rating of 109 with 236, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no fumbles that he lost. And, that can happen when you've got an inferior quarterback. And again, I know it wasn't all on Deshaun Watson, but come on, Deshaun, you got to outplay Daniel Jones in a game somehow, some way.
Well, there's no question about that. There's absolutely no question about that. And Deshaun Watson is not making enough plays of emphasis and big plays.
Yeah.
Now, of course, that offensive line today, though, Kenny, I don't know who it would have taken today playing quarterback to come up with a positive winning effort with the way that offensive line played. And again, that is not taking away anything from Deshaun Watson's performance. He's got to be better.
Yeah.
He's got to be better. But Ken, damn, if this offensive line continues to play like this, no chance. No chance for Watson to be better. and no chance for this football team to win. Because you know what he's going to start doing? I can tell you. We saw it a few particular snaps today. He's just going to go off script and ad lib. Ad lib to keep himself upright and to keep himself in his mind with a chance to make a play. Because if this offensive line play doesn't improve dramatically, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't.
Reg, 11 seconds into the game, they were up 7-0. And then they didn't score until about 5 minutes into the fourth quarter again.
That's right.
And so, they get the turnover on the kickoff, perfect pass from Deshaun.
First time in 19 years, by the way, buddy.
What's that?
First time in 19 years, a turnover that the Browns successfully took on an opening kickoff.
Okay.
Last time it happened, I looked at it, was 2005.
Wow.
Next snap, Watson, Cooper, 7-0.
Yep.
7-0. There's been one play, that one, that come from a snap from center following the kickoff, and they're up 7-0.
Yeah.
And from there on, just an absolute abomination.
217 total yards of offense today. And most of those came in the fourth quarter when they kind of got a rhythm and the defense kind of rose up and held New York in check. They held them scoreless in the second half to give the offense a chance. But then again, the offense couldn't do it. Of course, when it's going bad, it's really going bad when Destin Hopkins misses his first 50-yard field goal right on the day they honor Phil Dawson as part of the Legends Club, along with Jimmy Donovan. God bless Jimmy, by the way. Thoughts and prayers going out to him as he continues to battle cancer as those two went in today. But, of course, Hopkins misses that, his first one. The fumble by Ford, the drop by Tillman, the fumble by Deshaun Watson as well. Just too many mistakes, Michael. 8 sacks. Those aren't winning. You can't win games having those types of major mistakes.
100% correct. 100% correct. And I'm starting to lose more and more confidence in Jerome Ford's ability to be a guy who is going to augment your pass game. I know that he's in that position because of Nick Chubb being down. Yeah. I get it. But you know how it is in the league, Ken. When you get your chance, right, you got to prove you belong. And you can't be putting the ball on the ground. You just can't. With everything else going on with this offense, as we just laid out about the O-line problems, Watson, not always being as consistent as you'd like him. And now you got your running back going to put the ball on the ground and receivers not catching his good throws?
Yeah.
Come on, man. How the hell are you supposed to win?
Oh, you can't. You can't. And, Michael, I want to point the finger at Kevin Stefanski a little bit today, too, because as we watched that game unfold, you saw the Giants bringing pressure from everywhere, not just from their defensive line, but from everywhere. And I wrote this down, Reg. Post-game, Deshaun Watson, and I'm paraphrasing here, okay? Yeah. Deshaun Watson said something along the lines of, let's see here. Oh, here it is. The Giants, with their pressure, did some things different in the game plan. They switched up the game plan. I'll translate. We weren't prepared for what they brought today defensively, and that's on the head coach, who remains the offensive play caller, even though they have a new offensive coordinator. So I'm sitting there screaming at jerseys on Fulton Road in Canton with the Stark County Browns backers. Run a damn screen pass, run a draw, suck them up the field just like the Giants did to the Browns pass rush, right? And dump it off underneath and get plays. That didn't happen, Michael, until the fourth quarter, and it was too late.
Don't think either that comment that the quarterback made was not without intent and purpose directed toward his head coach. I believe it 100% was. Yep. In other words, he's saying, you aren't putting me and us in the best possible position to win. And what is Ken Dorsey doing?
I don't know.
What is his role with Stefanski in this offensive creation during the week and how it then manifests itself on game day? What is there? Are they connected? The head coach, the offensive coordinator? What does Dorsey do during the week? Is he a big part of the game plan offensively? Can you tell me? Because I don't know.
I don't either, Michael. I don't know if he's working with Stefanski, drawing up the game plan, or if it's just Ken, get me 2 sugars and some cream with that coffee and bring it in here to my desk, and then you can leave. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think you as you jest a little bit, but you may be onto something there. Because I started thinking about it, I'll be honest with you, I started thinking about it last week. I do not think these two guys are in concert.
Yeah.
I really don't. And, again, when you got a quarterback, Kenny, I can start to see you just kind of paraphrased his Deshaun Watson I'm speaking of.
Yeah.
Kenny, if this continues to go in the wrong direction, you're going to get more comments from Deshaun Watson, as in the guys that are supposed to construct this offense to help us be successful aren't doing it. Mark my words. Mark my words, that's going to start happening.
Yeah. And the finger point, you hope it doesn't. You hope they can right the ship next week in Vegas against the Raiders to get back to 500 at 2-2. The only good thing, Michael, for the Browns is I'm looking at this, right? And I don't know how the hell they're doing it in the Steel City, but they won again today with no quarterback, coming into the season. And yet here's Justin Fields, 3-0 as a starter for the Steelers. And they're atop the AFC North at 3-0. The only good news there is Ravens 1-2, Browns 1-2, and if the Bengals beat the Commanders on Monday Night Football, they'll be 1-2. So everybody but the Steelers will be 1-2. That's the only positive I can take away from getting embarrassed at home by the Giants.
How about that? And if you would have put all those numbers out to the first 3 games of each of those football teams in the AFC North, you'd have been laughed at, quite honestly, right? You'd have been laughed at. But here it is. Here it is. So, so the Steelers have put themselves in a good position. Again, there's still 14 football games to play for everybody, but can he go? But I just right now, I don't have a real confident feeling in the Browns' capabilities to figure out what the hell's wrong. I think we all can see the problems that exist. We just went through them.
Yeah.
What are they going to do about it?
Yeah.
You feel good that they're going to do something positive about it?
Oh, I don't. Not at this point. And you've got your best player now going for an MRI tomorrow on a foot injury, as well as other injuries, other things. He wouldn't be specific. We're talking about Myles Garrett, right? Came into the game with a foot injury, played, went into the tent, got dinged up a couple of times. Now he's having an MRI on his foot and maybe other things. So that's not good when your best defensive player is not at 100%, or dare I say, if the MRI shows something, he's out for any period of time.
If he misses any significant time, 3 games, 4 games, forget about it, man.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I don't see this team rebounding from that. Hell, Kenny, I'm concerned about them where they are right now with all hands on deck.
Yeah.
And healthy, let alone starting to subtract top players from said team. I don't know. It doesn't look pretty, and it sure don't smell good either right now. After you can't start 0-2 at home. You just can't. You and I both know this.
Yeah.
How many years have we talked about this? whether it's been the Browns or talking about any other NFL team, you have got to win at home. If you don't, listen, your chances to be successful, as we said, get into January, be a playoff team, they start to lessen significantly. You and I know that. And here they are. They put themselves in this position right away.
Reg, we've talked about it for years. Two most important things in the NFL: win your home games,
right,
and win in the division. You do those two
That's
things,
right.
Your chances of making the playoffs increase dramatically. And the home record, 0-2. Now, they haven't played anybody yet in the division, so I guess that's good. So they're, if they can right the ship before, October 20th against the Bengals and then the Ravens the following week, okay. But they've got a lot of writing to do to get that ship floating in the right direction.
Well, that's unquestionable. And it's got to start right away. It's got to start now. Because, again, you get off to a 2-5 beginning, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. You and I have talked about this multiple times, and we talked about this before this season began. It is extremely important that they get off to a strong start. We were saying no worse than 3-2 after 5. 4-2 after 6, right? Yep. Stay above it. Stay above 500. And right away, they're playing from arrears, Kenny Roda. Right away.
All hands on deck, Michael Reghi. The ship's already taking on water, so that means Barry, Stefanski, Myles Garrett, the offensive line, Deshaun Watson, Jerome Ford, Amari Cooper showed up. That was the one bright spot today. Amari Cooper showed up, 7 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, and ironically, Reg, on that drop ball by Tillman, didn't he have to come off the field for one play because of an injury? Because the Browns didn't want to use a timeout, and sure enough, what happens? They throw to Tillman, and he drops the ball. So all hands on deck to get this thing turned around for the Cleveland Browns before it goes bad real fast.
Yeah, it's got to be. We just laid out all the reasons why. So hang on to your hats, Browns fans, because it's probably not going to be an easy or satisfying ride to get themselves back above 500 and then try to create a little space from there. But they better do it as quickly as possible. As quickly as possible.
All right, Reg, let's take a break and get away from the crap we saw at whatever the new named stadium is, all right? And let's come back with some positivity, because there is a team that has clinched a playoff spot, that has won its division, and they're going to be providing October baseball at Progressive Field. That, of course, your AL Central Division champion Cleveland Guardians. Michael and I will give you our thoughts on the regular season and what are their chances in the postseason moving forward. We'll talk Guards baseball next when the RnR podcast continues right here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of the Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvis, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
We continue with the RnR podcast here on the Press Play Podcast Network. And Michael, as bad as the Browns were, and they were dog crap, Roda. They were dog crap against the Giants. The Guardians, Michael, have wrapped it up. They've celebrated twice. They celebrated clinching a playoff berth, and they celebrated winning the Central Division. So they are in. They are Central Division champs. And how about this? They win another division title. I've lost track of how many that's been since 95 for them. The Browns haven't won a Central Division title or a North title or any title in the division since like 1988 or 1989. So kudos to the Guardians, who I thought had no chance of making the playoffs this year when the season started. And here they are battling New York for the best record in the American League and winning their division.
Incredible. And a lot of attaboys and positivity goes out to everybody. And of course, that starts with Chris Antonetti on down.
Yep.
So they got 5 games left, right? They're sitting at 90 wins and 67 losses, played $157, got 5 more to go. Now, Kenny, the thing is, right, the Yankees are more than like Yankees got a 2.5, and the Yankees are 3 better in the loss column than the Guardians.
Correct.
So it looks like the Yankees, they won again today over Oakland. So it looks like they'll be the 1 seed. Now
Right.
the Guardians need to get that 2 seed so that they can have that first round off. How much do we think that then that would allow Stephen Vogt to get his pitching, his starting pitching rotation in the exact order he wants it? And who do you think they would ultimately play?
Well, here's the way I'm looking at it, Michael, because what comes into play here now, we're taping this on Sunday night, right? So they're off on Monday. They play Cincy Tuesday, Wednesday, the battle for Ohio or the Ohio Cup, whatever the hell that thing is. Then they're off Thursday, and then they have Houston Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay,
Important games with them.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Yes.
You may have to win one of those to make sure you're the number 2 seed.
Correct.
Okay. So we'll see. Hopefully not. Hopefully they win the next 2 against Cincinnati, and they've already got it locked up. Then they can really do some juggling, right, Michael, and get things the way they want them to for the postseason with the rotation. Here's the problem. I don't know who that rotation is, Michael.
Yep.
I'm not sure who the ace is. Is it Tanner Bybee because he's been here all season and has pitched the best and most consistent? Is it Alex Cobb if the blister or fingernail are healed because of his experience?
Yep.
Is it Matthew Boyd, who they picked up after Tommy John surgery as a free agent, and he's looked good since coming over here? Ben Lively's in the equation. I don't think, though, for me, that Gavin Williams is one of those guys. I just don't. In a 5-game series, because we're hoping they miss the wild card, right? So it'll be a best of 5 in the divisional series. I would not go with Gavin Williams as one of my options in that starting rotation, which probably is going to be 3 guys, right, Michael,
That's right.
in a 5-game series?
Correct. Yes, sir. You're 100%. You're on. It's not going to be 4.
No.
So here's the deal. Alex Cobb, Tanner Bybee, Matthew Boyd, Ben Lively. Subtract one of those.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And that guy is going to be the long man out of the bullpen. So right now, for me, Kenny, as crazy as that, I'm definitely, for me, Cobb and Boyd are definitely 2. Now, Bybee or Lively?
I go Bybee. Okay.
Right.
I think he's earned that based on what he did last year and this year. I want Cobb like you, but is he going to be healthy?
He better be.
Yeah. What if he comes out and pitches one of these last 5 games and that blister breaks again or that nail cracks again? So can you put him on the roster not knowing if that nail is going to heal in time for him to pitch? And the only good thing there, Michael, is this. You can change your playoff roster every round, okay? So your playoff roster for the divisional series, is not the same playoff roster that you'll use for the ALCS should you get there, because then it becomes a 7-game series and then you will need 4 starters. So you can adjust that, okay?
That's right.
So I need to know, and Alex Cobb's got to be up front with him. Hey, throw a simulated game. We'll try and get you in one of these games against the Reds or the Astros, and then let's see how you do after that, how the finger – I'm like you. I want him to be one of those 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
I do. But can you count on him? Because it seems like every other game he pitches, he goes back on the IL.
I know. Kenny, if he's right and he doesn't, as you just said, get himself in a position where he can't go, I trust him. I trust him to take the baseball in October and give the Indians 6 innings, maybe 7, hopefully have the lead, but certainly have them in the game. So that's how good I feel about Cobb. Matthew Boyd, listen, again, this is about you're going to have 3 starters. I can't see him not being one of the 3, right?
Yeah.
We mentioned then Ben Lively and who else do we? Gavin Williams?
I'm not going. I haven't seen Gavin Williams. Hasn't showed me enough to say yes. I can trust him. I just can't.
You on that. So here's the deal. Again, we're getting out the crystal ball here, but and as you said, there's 5 more games to go. So this week, but who do you think might be the best possible matchup for them? And is that the team that you think they'll get, if indeed? And of course, we're counting on them, right? Being it's going to be difficult to be the 1 seed, right?
Yeah,
but we're counting on them holding on and securing that 2 seed in the AL playoff structure.
Yeah, Reg, here's what I think is more than likely going to happen. They're going to play their final 3 regular season games against the Houston Astros.
Yeah. And then again?
They're going to have to play them again because Houston will be the top wild card team. All the games will be in Houston in that wild card series, best of 3. And I have a feeling they're going to end up playing Houston, the first 2 games in Cleveland in a best of 5. Now, I would prefer not to, but the only good thing there is that maybe their starters, they won't be able to go with their top guys in games 1 and 2. That's the only thing you have to, keep your fingers crossed for.
Right.
But I'm okay. Minnesota's trying to hang on, right? I've got to look. I've got to pull it up here to see what it is as far as who's in the drive. Houston's in the driver's seat to win their division, and they're probably going to be the lowest divisional winner. So they'll be the top wild card team, if you will. And then it's up to the other 3, which is Baltimore. I would like to avoid Baltimore.
I'm with you. I do not think that's a good matchup for the Tribe for a lot of different reasons.
So stay away from the Birds. Give me Houston if I have to, or one of the other 2 teams, whoever that might be, Royals or Twins,
Detroit
or the Tigers. I was going to go.
Tigers might get in.
Yeah. So, but if I can stay away from Baltimore, that's the one team I want to stay away from because they have the power, if you make a mistake, to beat you with one swing of the bat, right? Where the Guardians have improved their power numbers this year, but still aren't consistent enough in that area. And in the postseason, you've got to be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
You do. That having been said, that's always huge, the ability to play long ball. Kenny, it just seems like, though, the more we talk about offenses, October baseball comes down to who pitches the best and who picks the baseball up the best behind those pitchers. Because the chances of winning a 3-2 game, or that you'll have to win a 3-2 game, maybe a 4-3 game, are much greater in October than winding up at a game that finishes 10-8.
Right.
So, again, I want to believe that the Guardians have the ability to win those 3-2 games. And, we are going to find out starting next week.
Yeah. Hey, Reg, how about this?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wild card right now. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Baltimore is 4 games up. So they're the lock as the number 1 wild card team. Okay.
Yeah.
Kansas City and Detroit are tied for the number 2 and 3, spots. And I don't know who owns the tiebreaker. I'm guessing it's Kansas City because they have them, on top of Detroit in the standings. And Minnesota's a game back now. Minnesota falling completely on their face. And Detroit, like they did last year, closing strong and may get into the playoffs. So you may have 3 teams in the playoffs from the AL Central Division. How about that?
Yeah, no, that is speaks to how this division has started to really ascend. But Kenny, I'll take my shot with those Kansas City Royals, man. I believe, that the Guardians would have some distinct advantages in the series with KC, and I want that to be that starting pitching. And because, again, I mean, I hope so, but I really believe that the Guardians beat Kansas City in a short series. So would that be 5?
Best of 5, Reg. But remember now, Kansas City won the regular season series over the Guardians. So that scares me somewhat. Their pitching, I think, is better than most people give it credit for. And they got arguably, one of the best players in the game, probably going to finish runner up to Aaron Judge for MVP and Bobby Witt Jr., right? That's concerning to me with him. Now, one of their big, I can't remember who it is, went down with a thumb injury in the regular season. One of their 30 home run, 100 RBI guys, I forget who it is. I'll have to look it up here. He may be
Perez.
No, Perez is good. Witt is good. Whoever was batting in between those guys.
Okay.
And so he may be back for the playoffs. And so if they get him back, and I'm pulling it up right now on ESPN.com. Here we go.
Pasquantino.
Let's see. Does he have? No, it's let me see. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. You're right. It is Pasquantino.
Yeah.
He's got 97 ribbies. Perez 103. Bobby Witt Jr. 108. So if he's back, that's a hell of a middle of the lineup that you're dealing with right there. And that's why it scares me. And so if I had my druthers, I'd rather play Detroit than Kansas City coming from our division. And Houston more so than Baltimore. So we'll see how this thing ends up and plays out. But I think it's going to finish New York 1 seed bye, Cleveland 2 seed. They get a bye. Houston wins the division. They're the top wild card team, and they'll play the lowest ranking wild card team. And then Baltimore will play the other. So Baltimore and Houston will probably have all 3 games, if necessary, at their building to try and advance to the divisional round.
Well, we do this next Sunday night. We'll have all of this at our fingertips and be able to set this baby up.
Reg, I was told the earliest the Guardians would play, and this isn't etched in stone, but is let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, October 6th, which is a Sunday. That's the earliest I was told they would play if they finish as the 2 seed.
That's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, they're going to space these games out, Major League Baseball, in the division or in the wild card round, right? 2 series in each, the National and the American League, 3 games each, and then get it shaped up for, the divisional round. And like we said, we hope that divisional round is in Cleveland. And, let's get ready to rock and roll with some October baseball.
Yeah, and next Sunday night, we'll really start to break this down because we will know the matchup that the Guardians have, and better be able to assess that as we take a look-see at the various, whether it's starting pitching, bullpen, Manuel Clase, got to like where the Guardians are there.
Absolutely.
Hitting lineup, power hitting lineup, all of it will break down next week on RnR, in addition, of course, to who the Browns play next Sunday.
They're out in the left coast next week, Michael, against the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, that's what. Now, see that. Okay.
Yeah, 4:00 start on the left coast.
Bite my tongue. Another football game that they should. They're a better football team.
Yeah, they should
than
win
the
that
Las
game.
Vegas Raiders.
Yep.
So, i.e., better be attaching a W to it. Reghi Roda next week.
Yeah, we thought that this week too.
Imagine if they go out there and crap it up and are 1-3.
Man. I'm sorry, it's a 4:25 start, so that's a nationally televised game on one of the major networks at 4:25. So
well, and when it's done within hour or so after you get done with your WHBC work, we'll be breaking it all down.
We'll have that, and we'll have
the Guardians.
Yeah, where the Guardians are at as far as what position they're in and who they're playing in the playoffs. So, Michael, this will be an interesting week as the Guardians end the regular season. The Browns try and get things straightened out, and come next Sunday night, we'll talk all about it again right here on the RnR podcast. All right?
Can't wait, old man. Looking forward to it.